So, this is the trip to Sinai that I did from the kibbutz in 1981. And I was exactly the same age as you. I was 18, nearly 19.
That's so weird.
So this is, what day are we today? February. This is Friday the 20th of February.
Was it the first day?
That was the first day we set off. This long-awaited trip started very early, too early, in the morning of Friday 20th of February. We set off from Yagur, that was the kibbutz I was staying in, at 5:30 a.m. Although this was half an hour behind schedule. Most of us slept on the 2.5-hour journey to Yad Mordechai, below Tel Aviv. The sunrise was beautiful, and the moon big and bold against the deep blue sky. Don't laugh. We had breakfast at Yad Mordechai kibbutz, cooked outside by Group A. I think we were all in groups, different groups. I made rather a pig of myself because it was so unusual to see delicious things like real cheese, chocolate spread, halva, and tuna fish. We then visited the museum after having a commentary from the talking tree, I don't know what that is, explaining the 6 days of Egyptian invasion there and why the field in front was covered with ridiculous models of tin soldiers. The museum itself was housed in a modern building built on several floors. The photographs of little children starved and harassed simply because they were Jews were pitiful. Many things in the museum I couldn't understand because they were in Hebrew. There's also an enormous statue nearby of Mordechai Anilovich. On our way again, we passed Zelim kibbutz, where Kath's boyfriend lived for 9 months. She was one of the girls there. And another kibbutz, where Ben Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, lived. The landscape became sandier, drier and more rocky as we moved southwards. We even saw a couple of camels. The atmosphere on the bus is great. We sang loads of songs, and Terry and Martine even danced in the aisle. Everyone's in such a good mood. Some people have waited months for this trip. You see, I arrived in January, and this was just
so cool.
The next month. They did it once a year, so I was lucky, just waited a month. Next stop was the Ein Avdad Canyon. I've never seen a canyon before. It's quite breathtaking. We climbed down to the bottom where some people, Duncan, Jamie, Jim, the bloke with the hair, and Ingmarie, were brave enough or stupid enough to swim in the freezing cold water. We walked quite a way further to meet up with the bus again. It seemed like we were already in the middle of a rock desert stretching forever around us. The rounded top mountains were still in view when we stopped to eat again. There's a lot about food on this trip and in the kibbutz. The food was out and consumed and cleared away again in a matter of minutes, very organised. It's now raining and I'm sitting in the bus eating again, waiting for the next stage, I know, of the journey. If it's colder than this at night, we're going to freeze. After travelling for a while, we reached the valley of Ramad, an earthquake area and the largest rift valley in the world. It was really spectacular, especially with a faint rainbow showing far away. Once again in the coach, we were on our way to Eilat. However, something was bound to go wrong, and it did. We got a puncture, but we had great fun jogging, singing and doing the can-can on the sand dune. Sarah fell off while the wheel was being changed. We've now arrived in Eilat at 7:45 p.m. We've put all our bags and sleeping stuff on the sand, just a few feet away from the sea, the Red Sea no less. Immediately we arrived, tables and benches were put out. Group A were busy chopping vegetables. Econ kit all over again, I don't know what that means. The pots were on the gas heaters and strings of lights were set up. Even though I've got photos of this. Even though these lights did go out for a while, a few minutes ago, everything is really organised. They must have planned this months ahead. It's not such a primitive life as I'd imagined. We're quite comfortable on our bus and everything's taken care of. But it's not as if we're tourists, that's the nice thing about it. We help with preparing the food, etc. and the kibbutzniks with us are so nice and genuinely interested in giving us a great time. As soon as tea was over, we were all very hungry, Jamie etc. made a bonfire and we sat around and drank endless bottles of wine and also some whiskey supplied by Chris. Some people got quite merry.
What?
You've got to remember this is 33 years ago. We had a singing competition between nationalities and played games, one of which entailed me acting as a table, what a sucker, and resulted in me getting wet from 2 glasses of water. We arranged our sleeping bags at about 11:30 p.m. It was warmer than I expected, although there was a cold wind later on, and I slept quite well under the stars. Next chapter tomorrow.